Hey, just before the video starts, there's a free school community link below. I'd love you to join. You meet developers, you'll meet investors. We have coffee chats, we have all sorts of giveaways. I'd love to see you there. Enjoy the video.
Morning, Rory. Let's review the pipeline.
See,
I'm good. Let's look at this. This is starting to fill up. So I can see we've got
oh, look,
one opportunities and a left.
I've got an example ready to go if you'd like to look at that. So take you into the map. So this is a site in central Bedfordshire, not far from Bedford itself. Now, first and foremost with this site, you have to identify is where it is in relation to the settlement itself. So if I zoom out,
Obvious, yeah.
you can now see that the settlement itself is defined by this white line here. So this is what's called the adopted settlement boundary, is the white line. Now the blue turquoisey line is called the emerging settlement boundary. Now what that usually will be is a little bit different to the outline of the adopted settlement boundary, but that doesn't mean to say that the land around it doesn't have potential for development. A little bit more on this one now. So this site is defined by this purple outline, which I hope everybody can see. Essentially what this field is, we would call this an edge of settlement site. It's partially, as you can see, partially within the adopted settlement. I'd say probably about 5% of the title is within there. Importantly, what we would probably look to define as the access into the site is within the settlement boundary, and it's just off a road. So that's a big tick there. The one that kind of jumps out at me is the risk of flooding from surface water. If I click that on, it shows you that we have quite a lot of risk of surface water flooding on this site, especially the 1 in 30 years risk. What we would look to do is have a flood risk assessment done as part of any planning application. And then there would be, off the back of that, there would be recommendations for sustainable drainage systems that would be implemented, what's called the 5-year housing land supply. So Bedford currently has a 5-year housing land supply at 3.35 years. Now, the important number that the local authority needs to hit is 5 years, and they can't do that. What that then does is that tips the balance of presumption of sustainable development in our favour. So it takes the power away from the local authority and kind of tips the balance in our favour, that a lot of their planning policies will not hold quite as much power. So then if we can design a sustainable and appropriately designed development, then we should be able to get planning permission on this site.
Okay, let's take it from there.
This will be my stage 1 analysis report that I typically run prior to deciding whether or not we proceed to outreach with the landowner. It's very straightforward, just a quick 2-pager, which shows us the outline of the site, main details. So we've only scored 5 out of 9. And the reason is I've got 10 scores. Some of them aren't applicable, so we'll just discount that, which takes us down to 9. The principal score 5 out of 9 reflects the greenfield edge of settlement nature of the site. Principles 2, 3, 4, and 6 will structurally score negatively or not applicable for undeveloped agricultural land. The acquisition case is assessed through planning precedent and policy override below, so which is just what I mentioned a few minutes ago. So that is the Bedford 5-year housing land supply at 3.35 years, which tilts the balance in full. So because of the situation with Bedford not having a 5-year housing land supply and the direct precedent on the neighbouring plot, I feel that we've got a very strong argument for a successful planning application on this site.
The letter will be going out.
Yeah, so we'll absolutely send a letter out. So as you can see there, even though it scored 5 out of 9, because of the precedent on the 5-year housing land supply situation, we've marked it as a high priority for outreach to the landowner. So looking at the planning situation, the constraints in much more detail, and importantly, probably more importantly from a developer's point of view, is the commercial aspect of it and the numbers. What is achievable? What's the GDV of that? And then from that, we will work backwards to include all the costs, all the purchase costs, all the planning costs, all of the build costs, to reverse engineer the residual land value that we then feel comfortable with offering to the landowner.
Nice.